Hello, welcome to the Learn American English channel, where you learn naturally so you can speak naturally. In this video, we are going to listen to conversations about floods. This video is divided into two parts where the characters will talk about what a flood is, what causes floods to happen, and the damages caused by floods. There will be a listening comprehension quiz at the end of each scene, so listen carefully and see if you get all of the questions right. Also, be sure to stay with us until the end of the video. We'll point out important words from the conversations, everyday slang, and the most common way to say things in English. Watch for these words and phrases in the subtitles. You'll find their meanings in the vocabulary section in the last part of the video. Are you ready? Let's begin. First, let's listen to a conversation between Chuck and his dad about what exactly is a flood, how it happens, and the damages it can cause. Let's see how their conversation goes, and don't forget to note the highlighted words for their meanings at the end of this video.
Hey Dad, got a sec? I have to do a report on floods next week and I kinda need your help.
Of course, buddy. Floods, huh? That's a big topic. What do you need to know?
Well, first off, what exactly is a flood?
A flood happens when water overflows onto dry land. Basically, when there's way too much water and nowhere for it to go. It's considered a natural disaster, which means it's something that happens because of nature, not because of people.
Oh, gotcha. So what causes floods?
A bunch of things, actually. The big one is heavy rainfall. If it rains too much too fast, rivers and drains can't handle it, so the water spills over. Rapid snowmelt can cause flooding too. When the snow melts too quickly, all that extra water floods the land. Then you've got storms and even tsunamis, which can push massive amounts of water onto land.
Yikes, that sounds pretty intense. What kind of damage are we talking about?
Oh man, floods can be brutal. They can destroy houses and buildings, sweep away animals, and leave entire areas underwater for days. It's not just the water itself that's dangerous, it's what's in it.
Oh, what do you mean?
Floodwater is nasty. It's loaded with chemicals, pollutants, and all kinds of junk. Plus, standing water is a breeding ground for diseases like malaria, typhoid, diarrhea, eye infections, and skin diseases.
Ugh, that's disgusting. So it's not just about getting wet, it actually makes people sick?
Exactly, and it gets worse. Floods can wipe out crops, which means food shortages. And because drinking water gets contaminated, people can get hit with waterborne diseases like typhoid and cholera.
Dang, that's rough. So after a flood, everything's just a total mess?
Pretty much. The aftermath is bad. Mud everywhere, sharp debris, pesticides, even raw sewage. A lot of places end up without power or clean drinking water for a long time.
Man, that sounds like a nightmare. Do people at least have time to get out before it happens?
Usually, yeah. Most floods take hours or even days to develop, so people have some time to prepare or evacuate, but not always. Sometimes flash floods hit fast, and those can be really dangerous.
So when a flood hits, what do people do?
The government steps in with relief camps, shelters, temporary housing, and evacuation centers. They also send food and water to help people out.
Well, at least there's some backup, but still it sounds pretty bad.
Oh, for sure. But one thing you'll see during times like this is people coming together to help each other. Neighbors, volunteers, rescue teams. It's one of those times when you really see the best in people.
Oh, it's good to know that people help each other.
It sure is. Got any more questions, son?
Yes, but I think I'm gonna need a minute to type all of these out. Be right back, Dad.
Now it's time for some questions. Here are some listening comprehension questions to see how well you understood the conversation between Chuck and his dad. What is a flood? A flood is when water overflows onto dry land. What is a natural disaster? A natural disaster is when something happens because of nature, not because of people. What causes floods? Heavy rainfall, rapid snowmelt, storms, and tsunamis can cause floods. Did you get all the questions right? Let us know in the comment section. Now, let's continue listening to a conversation between Chuck and his dad, as Chuck asks more questions about floods and ways to avoid them. Let's see how their conversation goes, and don't forget to note the highlighted words for their meanings at the end of this video. Let's start.
Hey Dad, I'm back with more questions.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so floods are bad news, but is there anything we can do to stop them?
Well, here's the thing, buddy. You can't exactly stop floods from happening. Since they're a natural disaster, they're kinda out of our control. But there are ways we can help lessen the damage and make sure things don't get as bad.
Oh, okay, so what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Plant more trees. People don't realize how much trees help. Their roots hold the soil in place and soak up a ton of water, which helps prevent flooding. But nope, people just keep cutting them down like it's no big deal, and then wonder why floods keep getting worse.
So basically, trees are like nature's giant sponges.
Exactly. And speaking of stopping water from piling up, we gotta keep drains clean. If drains get clogged with trash, water can't flow properly, and boom, flooding.
So basically, people being lazy and littering makes floods worse.
Bingo. When people toss garbage everywhere, it blocks up drains and water can't escape. So step 1, don't litter. Step 2, help clean drains when you can. Even little things like picking up trash off the street can make a difference.
Got it. Trees, drains, no littering. Anything else?
Oh yeah. The government also plays a big role. They need to build better drainage systems and make sure we have flood barriers in flood-prone areas.
Yes, that makes sense. What else, Dad?
Oh, they warn people ahead of time when big storms are coming so they can prepare.
So like flood alerts?
Exactly. These days we have weather apps, news reports, and emergency alerts on our phones, so there's really no excuse to be caught off guard.
Man, I never thought about all this stuff before. People kind of make floods worse without even realizing it.
Yep, that's the problem. We can't stop floods, but we can do a lot to avoid making them worse. If everyone did their part, we'd have way fewer disasters.
All right, I think I've got some solid points for my report. Thanks, Dad.
No problem, bud. Now, if only we could flood-proof your room. It's a disaster zone in there.
Huh, real funny, Dad.
Before we review the key vocabulary from these conversations, here are some listening comprehension questions to see how well you understood the conversation between Chuck and his dad. How can trees help lessen the damage caused by floods? Their roots hold the soil in place and soak up a ton of water, which helps prevent flooding. Why is it important to keep drains clean? It is important to keep drains clean because if they get clogged with trash, water can't flow properly, which may lead to flooding. How can we keep ourselves updated on the weather? We can keep ourselves updated by using the weather app, listening to the news, and the emergency alerts on our phones. How many questions did you answer correctly? Let us know in the comments section. Now let's review the vocabulary from these conversations. First, we'll review some of the natural-sounding everyday phrases used by native English speakers. Watch the video again after you study the vocabulary words to learn them even better, and subscribe to see our other videos. Bunch of things. An informal way of saying many things. Times like this refers to similar situations. In this case, it means during difficult moments. Bingo, a way of saying you got it right, or exactly, caught off guard. A phrase meaning not prepared for something unexpected. Do their part. A phrase meaning everyone should help in some way. Now let's review the key vocabulary used in the conversations. Tsunami. A massive ocean wave caused by an underwater earthquake or volcano that can flood coastal areas. Drainage system. A system of pipes and channels that carries away extra water to prevent flooding. Contaminated. When something like water or food is dirty and unsafe to drink or eat. Waterborne diseases. Illnesses caused by drinking or coming into contact with dirty water. Relief camps. Temporary places where people get shelter, food, and medical help after a disaster. Were the conversations relatable? Try using these conversations with your family and friends. Thank you for watching the Learn American English channel, where you learn naturally so you can speak naturally. Please click the like button and subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this one.